Welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how life is a dance. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that mind and body-connected movement is vital to healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I created Dance to Heal Wellness featuring the Spotlight Confidence Formula and also authored the best-selling award-winning book, Outside In Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new ways to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now.
Intimacy with others begins with intimacy with yourself. And throughout my entire life, I assumed that I was like this chameleon, that you can put me into this room and I can just connect with everybody. And I had this visual at one point because I have been every personality you can think of. I've been the preppy kid, I've been like the emo, I've been, sporty spice, like whatever, whatever multi-passionate, visionary that I have been my entire life. Like I've touched everything, done everything. And so I just assumed that I was going through these different communities throughout my entire life. And it was almost like a visual of like that, not the escalator, but at the airport, how they have that like straightforward escalator. I just felt like I was on this escalator and there were just communities of people that I would just walk on by. I would connect and then I would leave. I would connect and leave. So I have zero childhood friends as of today. And so I realized I am unable to actually have a rooted, connective community because I have no idea how to connect with myself. And when I started implementing intimate practices toward myself, now I have the best community for years and years and years. Women who are successful, beautiful inside and out, who are creating impact in the world, who will literally take off the shirt off of their back and give to me. Masculine, divine men who are emotionally intelligent, who creates a space of safety for the feminine to flow. And how I got there is because instead of viewing intimacy as I'm relating to someone else, view yourself as getting to know your highest self. So I started dating myself. I started buying myself flowers. I started going out to dinners, or like what was my perfect date? So my perfect date was to go out to a really nice dinner and then go to a bookstore and I would sit in a corner and just read. And I would do everything that my dream date would look like. And I would talk to myself as if I was on a date with myself. Like, what would you ask someone in front of you? I would ask, like, what do you do? Like, who are you? What are your interests? And that was how I actually got to know myself. And this is the foundation, a very important foundation of how you can even get to your sacred yes and sacred no. So I want to stop there before I move forward.
I love this. I love this role modeling for us of how we can start to have an intimate relationship with ourselves. Real talk though, because some of my audience members are in their 50s, like me. Because for
Mm.
me, the journey of coming back into my body did not happen until my daughter needed me to be. So,
Mm.
my audience understands that I have fraternal twins through in vitro fertilization, and we weren't supposed to have kids. Like I had, when they did the workup for the IVF, I had I had things going on internally that I was not never supposed to have children, and I still insisted. So for me, a lot of my life was spent on raising my children. When I was told you shouldn't have kids, like you should be making a difference in the world through some other way, and I was like, no, I want to have babies. And so everything in the last almost 30 years has been centered around being a mother and raising my children to be young adults making a difference in the world with whatever they took on, right? Has souls before they came here. Now I have tools. And being a mom, going through my hardships, I have the tools now. And for those of us who were so outwardly focused, now we're entering the second spring. In Asian medicine, they talk about when you go into perimenopause and menopause, all of your energy centers start to turn inward for your
Mm.
own replenishment because we've been giving out for most of our lives. And it's really funny because I used to try and do those dates and never feel fulfillment. It would feel weird because I hadn't even done, Maya, the most basics of self care. Like I wasn't even
Mhm.
making sure I had enough sleep. I wasn't doing skincare.
Mm.
I wasn't doing any of that stuff. So to do a date with myself, it felt like a false exercise for me at that time. These days, I love this whole list. And it took me a while to get to know myself again. And it was this implementation of a very consistent, over time replenishment of sleep, self care, hydration, kind of really knowing when to say no. Because it's hard for the older people like myself because we have had a lifetime of not being able to say no to anyone and all well, except ourselves. We're really good at saying no to ourselves and yes to everyone else. So my audience members who are thinking, oh, wouldn't that be nice? It is possible for you. And have a clear, really, wouldn't it be great if you can really look at yourself and go, yeah, I haven't been honest with my self care. I really haven't. I haven't been making sleep a priority. I don't drink enough. I bought that treadmill, but I never used it. It's just sitting in that corner gathering dust. My laundry's on it. And that's okay. Give yourself that grace. And the reason why you're listening to Maya right now is to tell you this you can have this life she has. It's really possible for you. Even you, like me, who struggled with looking in the
Mhm.
mirror when we were in menopause, right? Just hear what she's saying and start finding
Mhm.
that future self that's waiting for you.
Yeah. Gosh, self-care is such also an esoteric topic because there are all of these things that support that supports you. And I also hear what you're saying about where do you even begin if you've never taken yourself out on a date and it's just weird? Of course, it's weird because you've never spent time with yourself. So you are literally with a stranger. And so it's going to be weird. And in this space of uncomfortability is the edge in which you stretch, but you get to know each other. And so, with self-care specifically, the way that I look at it is it's not even about the thing that you do, which is like a bath or like I'm going to meditate. The question about self-care is what is one thing that I can do that will actually nourish me from the inside out to the point where I overflow love? Because when we are not full and we are giving and taking care of others from a space of an empty cup, this is what leads to burnout, depression, disassociation. And in those energies, intimacy cannot exist. So, what is something that you can do that nourishes you to the point that it re-energizes you? What is that one thing where time just doesn't even exist? And you're just like, oh my God, 5 hours have just totally passed. That is a thing that you want to do as your self-care practice.
Brava. I love that. I love that. And also, we're not telling you to do something for 5 hours, okay? You still have to eat and drink
For 10
water and
minutes.
rest, right? Because for us, like has I've noticed with women who are in their 50s like myself, I know Maya is Asian presenting and we look ageless, but really like I could be her grandmother, okay? Just so you know the age difference between us. Like honestly, real talk, okay? So for older women who have had a lifetime of this mental conditioning of it's selfish for self-care, or oh, it's always better to put other people in front of us first. I love this reminder from you of making very conscious choices about what's going to fill your cup. For me, I've come to this realization that my cup, which is my well of giving, it was actually cracked and the bottom wasn't working anymore. So it didn't matter how much I filled my well, nothing was holding what I was putting in it. And I had to spend a lot of time saying no to pretty much everything so I could fortify the bottom of my well and seal the cracks around my well. Because
Mm,
until I did that, it did not matter what I did because nothing was holding. And there was this deep acknowledgement that I came from a childhood where I was really severely neglected. My parents loved me. They didn't know how to take care of me. And then were you to go intergenerationally back, because I was born in Taiwan, my grandparents were children of war. So during the Japanese occupation of Taiwan, it was a brutal time. No one ever pointed it out to me that I had to clear that.
mm-hmm.
So there's so many layers that's really important for you to acknowledge of where you are now. Now, of course, with that is the strength of people that survived that occupation that I inherited, right? The fortitude. My both my parents came from like farmers, so the grit to be able to survive that level of poverty, I have. So to acknowledge the pluses and the things that you might still be carrying that you need to put down. That's
Mm-hmm.
what helped me fortify my well and shore up the bottom. So the little bit of self care that I do, it actually holds and doesn't drip out my cracks.
Mm, yeah. Uh, I love that so much. It's such deep awareness of also knowing the energy leakage. This is also really important for intimacy because what allows for like a really rich connection is trust. And in that trust is clean energy. So to be so honest with yourself about the areas that are leaking, because what ends up happening in this leakage is that we unconsciously expect others to save us. And that is where attachment starts coming into play, expectations, and the cycle of self-abandonment continues.
Oh, I love you pointing that out. I love you pointing that out because for me, part of this whole healing that I share with my clients is that you can stop the cycle of abandonment, but you have to see it first.
Hmm.
You know, I was making friends with people that didn't value me. I would stay loyal to businesses that didn't value my contribution, right?
Mm,
I mean, I wrote a story about a platform that I was a teacher and I'd been elevated to master instructor, and I really needed to leave it before I was fired via email. I needed to leave it, but I felt loyalty, misplaced loyalty to the business owner because I thought of that person as a friend. And that person only saw me as a business entity that they subcontracted, right? So I was dropping balls and they were getting fed up. And then we're going to let you go now via email. I was devastated, Maya.
mhm.
And this whole situation had been set up and repeated by me. Like I had to take responsibility and be like, yeah, they didn't do it in a nice way. Let's be honest, Maya. Like seriously, like that cut my loyalty ties pretty quickly. And I
Mm,
still love on that person. I'm just, you know, it's not going to be something that I would recommend other people do, that particular format, right? Because the different definitions of what you give are not necessarily what people perceive. So be
mhm.
really clear when you're helping or doing something. Is it a real yes for you? Because if I were to think back over why I even said yes, I think it was really a no. And I wasn't
Yeah,
listening to myself.
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So there are layers to what you're talking about in terms of why knowing your yeses and nos are so important. Your body knows. So you're expressing now. I knew it was a no, but you did it out of obligation of loyalty. If anyone out there is doing anything out of obligation right now, cut the cord. Because when it's out of obligation and completely out of alignment, the universe is going to cut the cord for you, which is why they severed that relationship for you, right? That's the first thing. The second way that I also want to look at it is that when there is alignment everywhere. So when you have taken up a space that is completely misalignment, you are actually doing a disservice to the business and to someone else who is meant to be taking that position in that space, who's actually going to be excited for that position, who's actually going to be able to utilize and express that part of themselves. So not only are you supporting every entity and people around you by honoring your no, but then your no, you are giving the signal, every action that you take, you are signaling to the universe, this is not my standard. And you get to tie a knot at this point, and it only gets better from here. When it comes to manifestation, a lot of people assume, or the myth is that you want to take a line action, right? So you're creating the vision board, you're attuning your frequency to it, but you also have to take a line action. And so the aligned action that people assume, like let's just assume, you need to look for another job at this point. That's why you weren't letting this go, is to start, researching other jobs and to start interviewing. Like these are actions to get me to where I need to go. No. All you need to do is know the what and the why. What is the purpose and what is your desire? The aligned action is making space for it, and the universe will do the how. So you don't need to be looking for other jobs. What you need to do is actually cut off that relationship, tune into that sacred no, drop that relationship, and create the space so that something more abundant, more aligned, and more rich can literally fill that space.
All right, so here's the caveat, right? I have been ignoring my coaching business in lieu of working on this platform. So within 2 weeks, I made 3 times the amount I would have made in that business. Maya, it was confirmed. It was really interesting, right? And then a few months later, I signed on a
You
client.
can't make that up. It's
I,
literally magic.
right? It's mind blowing. So audience members, we've gone overtime because I knew we were going to go overtime, and I just let us go because I was just so excited.
You
Remember,
did preface that.
I did preface that, before and after I hit the recording button. You got to make sure you get in touch with Maya at Sacred Mya Moon on Instagram. And if you don't follow Instagram, which I have friends who don't do that, they just don't want to be on there, you can go to her Linktree link that's in the description of this particular episode. And just make sure when you reach out to her, tell her you were on the Dance to Heal podcast, and that's how you got to know her. So she knows in relation what you heard when you were listening to this episode. This way gives her a little bit of reference, yeah? The second thing is, most of you have gotten my gift of the dance and heal.com. Just keep that in your list of things to go back to, because we're about to change the gift on that link. So it's DANCEANDHEAL.com. We're just going to reserve that for free gifts for people because I can't remember that many links, y'all. So just so you know, just check on that periodically. We're going to start switching it up. Maya, you were such a blessing. We're going to have to come back because according to the outline, we discussed one, maybe half of the second thing, and we have 4 more things to talk about. This is open, and I think it's good because I think the audience is going to be ready once they process this one for the second half of this conversation. Remember, my audience members who are on the audio podcast, go to the YouTube video Don't go to the just audio one, but the YouTube video one, and add any questions. Maya and I will go back to that episode and answer your questions if you have them. Because some people, they freak out a little bit about like one-to-one reach outs, but you can ask more of a public question and we can answer because there's probably someone else who also has the same question.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. I also want to offer, I have 100-page Sacred Feminine Codes blueprint. And in this includes practices on how to tap into your sacred yes, how to tap into your sacred no, how to get to know yourself better, and other intimate practices that can include whether it's sensuality or creativity, but really it's a way for you to connect more with your divine feminine. So that'll also be in the link tree as well.
Yes, yes. Get your goodies from Maya. Maya, thank you so much for coming. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Dance to Heal podcast with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of inspiring triumph and learn more ways that you can heal yourself. To work with me and continue your journey, visit danceandheal.com. Are you ready to move?